So Fallout 76 is getting review bombed, or is it? In this video, I really want to explore what's going on Metacritic right now. A lot of other sites and news sources have been covering this, but hopefully I can give you a little bit more of a unique perspective on it. So the real core of what's going on here is on Metacritic right now, Fallout 76 is getting a ton of negative user reviews. If you look at the distribution on PC, Xbox One, and PS4, you'll see that surprisingly PC is the highest, but all in all, it's bad. And one of the first things I would say is take this more with a grain of salt. If you actually look at the individual reviews themselves, they're mostly 0s or 10s. It's not really representative of people's actual feelings. I have to imagine most people that are playing this game don't think it's a 0 because then they probably wouldn't be playing it. And I'm sure most people don't think it's the best game of the year, even in this particular franchise. If you read through some of these reviews though, what you'll find probably is that there's actually some decent points being made. These scores probably aren't representative, but the actual opinions people hold are kind of true. A lot of what you'll see is Fallout 76 is way too buggy and suffers from a lot of performance issues, which is fairly ridiculous in a 2018 game. This is something that should have been resolved. But then also in the mix you get things that are a little bit more outlandish, such as this being just a multiplayer mod for Fallout 4, or even that when you look around the graphics are so bad that you get tears in your eyes. Some arguing that it was a test to see if Bethesda can make the worst game possible but still sell it through good marketing, to which I would say this game had good marketing. I totally disagree. But either way, after reading way too many of these bad and good reviews, my takeaway would be two things. First and foremost, it's really important to keep in mind that negative reviews are always just more prominent when looking at the user side. If you look at any kinds of reviews, oftentimes people have more of an incentive to leave a negative review than a positive review. After a really good experience, positive reviews may give you warm glow or something along those lines, but largely having a negative experience will incite you to leave a bad review because you want to get back at that company. Even if your experience was 95% positive, that 5% being negative could be enough for someone to go out and leave a bad review. And I personally think that's what we have going on with Fallout 76. It's a pretty good game. I think most people agree with that. It's obviously not for everybody. It's not for some of even the die-hard Fallout fans, but it definitely does have issues. And I would say more than 5% of my experience was marked by those issues with this game. But at the same time, when you actually compare the reviews we have on this game to the reviews you have on other games, even like Fallout 4, which was also a controversial release, I think it's very telling. I think overall people are unhappy with the state of Fallout 76 on release, and personally, I kind of agree. Reading through some of the reviews, you'll find that people often cite some bug they encountered or some performance issues they're also seeing, which that's true. These are genuine problems the game has right now. You could say that pretty objectively. I personally think Fallout 76 has an unacceptable amount of bugs for a $60 game on release. You might disagree, you might think the number of bugs is acceptable, but no one's really denying that it has some bugs. And I think these reviews echo that. Even beyond that, we have a ton of missing features, a bunch of community complaints that we got from the beta that just weren't implemented. I have no doubt that all of this will be resolved in 3 months or so. I also don't really think it's fair that certain communities around Fallout 76 are trying to downplay this so much. Bethesda has already had a reputation for releasing buggy games, and I sadly think this is like one of the best examples we have. They had a beta right before launch, got probably thousands of bug reports, and didn't even come close to resolving them all. It seems like there were so many different ways that could have been handled, and it just leaves me thinking, what happened? Obviously, Bethesda doesn't want all of this negative press. It doesn't want this plethora of negative reviews. Was there some kind of time restraint? Were they not getting enough money from ZeniMax? Was having the beta so close to launch more of a marketing decision? I think another big factor with this game is Bethesda's reputation itself. If you look at their track record over the past few months, Creation Club created a lot of bad press for the company. I still from time to time look at the amount of dislikes on that video. And even just the reputation of releasing buggy games. That's not something you want to have, and I think Fallout 76 is evidence that it's not something they're actively improving on. I don't know the explicit number of bugs from Fallout 4 to Fallout 76, but one thing that's really going to mark people's experience with those games is the bugs will be fixed slower. Fallout 76 doesn't have the luxury of modders coming out on day one and fixing a lot of these problems. As I mentioned before, I have no doubt that Bethesda will eventually fix these all, but their track record for the rate of patches hasn't been the best, and even what we've seen so far, it's not the greatest. Going from the end of the beta to release, there really wasn't much that was fixed or added. Getting back to one of the points I made earlier, you'll see that Fallout 76 really doesn't have a lot of reviews, and I potentially could shed some light on that. Maybe a real or large press outlet had a different experience, but based off what I'm hearing from myself and other YouTubers, nobody that got a review code, because yes, I was provided with a review code, got any additional time to play the game. I could play it the same hours you could during the beta, and then of course come release day I could play it then. But not being able to play the game 24/7 does obviously complicate things when it comes to reviews, and as it stands right now, there's one review for Fallout 76 out. How many AAA game releases can you think of that only had one review in the first 48 hours of the game being out? And I don't personally think that's actually a good thing for consumers, or Bethesda as it seems. If you want a review of Fallout 76, you'll probably read about a YouTuber's opinion or just a regular everyday player's opinion, people that played through the beta. Now obviously, as we could see by these Metacritic user reviews, that is overwhelmingly negative at this point. That doesn't mean it should be negative. A lot of these probably contain bias, misinformation, and that's the kind of stuff you hope to avoid with a review that's professionally done. Typically, these reviewers are held to a much higher standard, and you do have the feedback loop that hopefully, if they actually do say something wrong, a bunch of people angrily comment, and thus you get a fix or an update to that review. Was this intentional by Bethesda to not make it super easy to get game time in or to actually complete the game and conduct a review of it? I don't really know, and I don't want to speculate one way or another on it, but what I really wanted the takeaway from this video to be is, no, looking at some of these Metacritic reviews and looking at the score itself, I don't think is representative of the game, and I don't think user reviews ever are necessarily representative. There almost always is a ton of bias and reactionary reviews from either side. What I think's more telling is the fact that there are so many negative reviews. The fact that one side is so much louder than the other, I think sheds some light about how the community feels about the state of Fallout 76 right now. Reading around in places outside of just some of the Fallout subreddits, you'll really see people are not happy about this game. Now some of that is without a doubt blown out of proportion and misleading, but some of it is true. Some of it are genuine concerns and complaints about this, and I think it's really sad that certain members of the Fallout community are trying to downplay this so much to say those people's opinions don't matter. It's something I've been encountering over the past couple of weeks, and I'll probably encounter it on this video. In the end, I think Fallout 76 is a solid game, not one of the better entries in the franchise, but a good game to play. But unfortunately, it does have issues, whether it be bugs or performance issues. And right now, those issues and people complaining about those issues are louder than the good features of this game. As I mentioned before, some of those are very misleading and exaggerated, but other ones actually do have some ground to stand on. I have no doubt that down the road, Fallout 76 will very likely fix or resolve many of these issues and missing features, but until we get some of those updates, it seems like the negative majority is just going to be the reality. Either way though, as always, again, I thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, but with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.